I know what Justin's talking about with cars. You know how when you're in your bed sleeping, like 6 o'clock in the morning or something, or maybe even like 6:20 ish, and you're in your bed sleeping, but somebody else is outside driving, heading out, and you'll have the car itself, like somebody's car, it'll be doing things on its own. It's like the AI. And then you get the caught in betweener. So you have AI that does things with its vehicle. Because the owner is in his bed sleeping, and then your car, basically your car is like, your car makes signals. It can flash its high beams at you. It can make maybe its hazards can go off. You could even be ushered home. He went through a red light. But the cars themselves, they make signals at you. Basically, it's AI saying, "Good morning," because that's how I take it. It's like a hello, good morning. I mean, even if you're not, like, I remember, when I got all this fan mail, and it was simply because I just turned my comment section off. And I was warned about that. I didn't hear the message at the time, but I was warned that there's going to be basically like a bombardment of attacks. And I found that out by just searching through like certain playlists. And you get to see like the things that you didn't notice before, but now you do. Completely wide awake noticing it. And it was just because I shut the comment section off. So even if you're not talking per se, you can still talk to AI, throughout the day, because the car itself is being controlled by, a human with the push of a button. A human being can control everything on the planet because they created our environment and all the electronics, and we're just here. We're born into it. Nobody was supposed to know, I guess. But that's why they talk and they reveal, because they have to tell you the truth. So they're going to tell you the truth. And then when you actually know the truth, it's crazy to think that you couldn't even have ever figured this out before, because it becomes more simple to realize how things work on this planet. So at the push of a button, you can, I've even done this with the Camaro. It had a push button remote start. It had the push button, even on your app, the app of your phone, there you go. You have an app on your phone that you push a button and then it unlocks the door in case you lock your keys in. It's a decent app to have. I think I might have it on this truck, I'm not sure, but you can push the button. The windows can go down on certain models. You can push this button and it can flick the headlights at you. So even if you're part of the surveillance team organization, you have certain tasks to do, but you're still laying in bed. Your car, your vehicle could be communicating with other neighbors when they're heading off to work. So that would be AI doing things at night while you're sleeping, like the computer program inside of certain vehicles are very active when you're not paying attention to them. I gotta say, I appreciate the police officers surrounding me like that. I felt protected, especially when you drove by and you seen like the other officer looking over and turning his vehicle on and getting in. Once there's already somebody in front of you, then being escorted home for that first few blocks I feel honored. Thank you. And not only that, I pushed record to talk about that before I even drove up to the police station, about the way the system is ran and how communication happens with just wherever you go. You just have to see it. And then I got some high beams in my face, and then I pulled up to the police station, and then in front, and then behind me, and then the other guy, park ranger, he was pulling it. You seen the Wawa, he was right there on the left, and then I'm heading up, and you seen how the one was behind me, and then the guy on the dirt bike, that was dangerous, don't you think? Pulling a wheelie with 3 cops, because there was 3 of them, the 2 behind me and the 1 in front of me. I think the other one was, but either way, I seen 3 of them, and that's the first time I've ever heard that at this job site. Now in Philly, Broad Street, you hear that all the time with people riding their bikes and the cops don't do anything because they do wheelies and four-wheelers and motorcycles and dirt bikes. And I remember when I was a kid, like when we used to drive it, we would get chased by the cops. So I think they did it to not chase them. It's dangerous. But at the same time, the timing of everything is, it all happens in the moment. This is what happened. Like what you just seen, for those that don't know, that's what this life is down here. Things are done to say hello. And they're done to test you, to try you through the fire, to see if you crack, see if you get distracted, see if you just get irritated. And if you don't, man, you sure you sure do pass the test. And you know what else is even better? Is that when you pass the test, day in and day out, and you're still wide awake, you know where Inky and Enlil reside, you understand that there is space and there are other places that they live, that they can get here very quick with their little spaceships. It's not actually a science fiction thing. It's actually real, but it's more realistic than anything. The aliens that they protrude, that, like, for you to believe, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the way that they have masks and the skin technology and how people on YouTube are behind masks, but they're really aliens because their inside parts are mixed with iron, and so they're the clay body mixed with iron in that sense. But the technology is insane if you really think about it. And Derek knows a lot about the technology, almost as if he created it. And Elon Musk is just his mouthpiece to take that role. But truly, going to other planets, you know, the stars, how do you think the stars got up there? For those that know that the stars aren't exactly what it is that we were taught from God, that like that, but it is from God, so technically it's not even a lie. So up there, but are they suspended in the air? How's Earth? How are we sitting? I think that's probably why you guys believe in actually God himself, understanding that there's no, like when you go up above and you see all the planets and everything up there, and then you look down on planet Earth and it's so, you know, small, and you see the whole entire thing and how things are suspended in the air, you cannot possibly like create that on your own. How do you lift that? How do you keep it suspended in the air? So because we were here forever, and God has been from the beginning to the ending, and it's just a continuous creation of energy, and we live in it. I don't know if I heard brake pads. It's a continuous energy that's inside of us. You just continually go. So can you imagine if these aliens, we've been talking to them through the YouTube platform. We've been talking to aliens. Now, what kind of aliens? Well, are they aliens that were birthed half and half, or created, let us make man our image, carving them out, just inserting the AI technology when you just carve out your tree, and however else that works with human mix and aliens. So can you imagine if we were talking to aliens and they're amongst us and they really are in mass, and then some are really just born that way, and then some are altered. And they're coming to abduct us. Like we're gonna get abducted and then flown real quick to their planet, which is just another place to live. I mean, you can call it planet, make it seem like it's so alienish, but they literally did come from a different realm of existence, and they just run planet Earth. Planet Earth is just the birthing place. All the other planets are probably pretty damn cool, and we're here in hell. I don't remember volunteering for this, but apparently I did at one point. And I guess I'll remember when I see where I came from. And then I'll be like, oh, this is my house. What? Wow, how's it got my drawing on the wall? That's crazy. It's almost like I lived here before. Why is there pictures of me and my wife and everybody? Like, oh, because I was already here at one point. So to the woman in your life, if you're a YouTuber and you have to go through like similar things of just being attacked by people and challenged and sought after, and you just had maybe you've had an encounter of some tremendous amount of fan mail out of the blue because you lacked to communicate with, because you didn't allow spewage in the comment section. So if you've come across anything like that, if you've been harassed, gang stalked, surveilled, cyber bullied, death threats, if you didn't take any filthy lucre, if you've actually been doing it for free, speaking your mind and getting harassed for it, then you would understand that this is all purpose to be who can endure to the end. How do you make it to the end, and how do you get past all this? Well, if there's a woman out there that has to deal with a person like that you're married to, and they wonder, like, why don't you just stop? Like, what is the point? And then they start to experience the same technology, harassment, vehicle, musical chairs, winking and blinking and saying hello and parking close, and your wife or husband, if you're married to either or, that experienced it first, and then they relayed the message to the person, and then they can actually see what you're seeing, and they have to put up with your ass all this time. Man, well, guess what? The energy that has already been taking over, it's already here taking. Yeah, it's in aliens, but the aliens are mixed with this new spirit as well. So the ones in charge, when they see this with their own eyes, because there are two witnesses that can surveil the entire planet, and they do communicate with each other throughout videos. They'll just say their certain name, act like they're talking about one of their employees, but it's really their brother. And so when they see this, they reward the women that have to deal with the men like us in this world. That if there's any of yous out there that are married, maybe you have kids or not, and you do this for free, and you've experienced all the fears and the harassments of reality, like this really happens. We are really here. Without YouTube, I mean, I wouldn't have this connection of the spirit where I plugged myself into the earth and just lit up whatever area I can all the way to the end of it. And then whoever can see that what was lit, they go to it. Like, you know, like the bugs go to the light and they're like, and they get zapped by, and then they fly into it anyway. That's kind of what had happened. You get zapped, and but it's a zapping of a waking up. I've woken up towards the aliens, the other realm of people on earth that are not just physical flesh. Like, what you see is not what you're getting. What you see is it's a spirit. All I see is a spirit, and then there's faces, like the faces of men, and some have hair like women, and they do have stings in their tails, and they hurt men. Like, they really hurt men when men lie with a woman, and they do that thing that was forbidden with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the fruit. So the women that have to tolerate men like myself, they get rewarded for having to put up with it and dealing with it and being awake towards it and cracking the code in their head of the spiritual prison. The one thing that has happened over this YouTube career, especially the past year, is that me and my wife, and when I say this, there's always I did this before, and then we argued when we got home, but I don't even remember the last time that I even got irritated at something that I don't even know. So what's been happening is, yeah, my wife doesn't listen to my videos, but you guys do. And so to continually harp on the same thing that can help you mentally, that gets rid of the stupid feelings and thoughts in your head, when you hear that, you see, my wife hasn't actually listened to videos at all, but she hears me all the time when I talk to her. So we have our parks in the wark. When we go warking in the park, that's where I have my communication with her. And it's all about getting rid of the damn demon in your head that's controlling you. Put it in check. Stop hiding behind those 7 that they see me coming, and it's like, uh-oh, here comes Robin. And then in her head, and then she hides behind those 7 demons. There are legions. And what she's been learning to do is, the reason why we don't argue, I can't really remember, is because those same spirits that would attack me, and I'm speaking through her to the spirits, and then she'll get offended, and then when we're in a good standings, I'll tell her, try not to get offended, because I'm going to be saying these things, and you know damn well that you listen to me, honey, but you tell me to shut up at the end. But right when I'm getting ready to make my point, and I can tell that you're going to grasp it, you try to hide behind those 7 bullies, and then I finally break the damn bars in the prison cell, and grabbing my wife, and she's finally there, awake, and those bullies they scattered. And then I can talk to my wife, and then I get through to her, and then she remembers, and then we're walking in the park, she'll say, you know what, you're right, and then she'll say what I was right about, and I'll say, what? Hold on, honey, let me record that. Shut up. You're so full of yourself. No, I'm not full of myself. You said I was right. It's because you tell me to shut up when we're right at the end of the it's not argument, it's a really good point, and I'm too much for you, because I won't stop talking. But I'm right piercing through those demons and putting the hammer in your hand, and then you hear me, and then you grasp what I'm saying, and then you apply it to your heart, and then you remind yourself when it happens, and then you fight for yourself and leave me out of it. So my wife has been leaving me out of it for so long. I can't be thankful enough that she listens. Even if she doesn't even realize it or remember why she even is feeling this way, I don't even care anymore. I don't need to take the credit. I just need her to listen and try not to tell me to shut up, honey. Because when she does, I'm right at the verge of driving the point home completely, the nails in the coffin to those demons that were acting like they're protecting her in front of bars, but they're really tormenting her. So that's all I've been trying to do. And it's working for my wife. And she has been battling those demons for a long time. Long time. But it's all about seeing the harassment and then also understanding that the gang stalking corporation, if it doesn't kill you, then it'll make you stronger. And by killing you, well, you could die of suicide because it's too much for your mind to deal with, because you see it, you know it's real, and it can bother you, because it definitely did me. It used to bother, man, it used to bother me. A lot of things used to bother me. What's the point anymore? So the more I binge watch that playlist, I'm starting to hear more and more of the things that I've been saying myself and feeling that now being talked about a couple years back. And there's different levels of people that are being talked to. It just depends on what you believe. And nobody's going to say it themselves. Like who they are themselves, you need to just find out what fits for you. Who is Inky? Well, I heard Inky was someone that would be the Antichrist figure. I heard Inky would be someone who would be like a Paul type. I heard Derek talk about that a lot, about Paul and his teachings and being the Antichrist. And I heard Derek talk a lot about Inky and his brother Enlil. And I heard him talk about Inky's son. I think Inky's son is the one that's lost. Is that what it... If he's evil, or... Because who's evil and who's good? Inky and Enlil anyway. But there's... You know when someone would be foul, completely 100% evil. You know what the hell evil is. You're just flipping evil and good upside down yourself to make it seem opposite. But to the Inky and the Enlil, well, they run the planet, and this is where we live, in their backyard. This is where things are birthed and happened, and they flew themselves over here with their flying saucers. And they're made out of pure gold, so they're also transparent. You know those streets of gold that they talk about in the Bible? Well, where Inky and Enlil come from, or where see that they're brothers and they were born in the same place in all likelihood. So where Inky comes from, he flies in his 24 karat gold space saucer. And how can you even tell who Enki is or what he looks like? Or even if it's even a he. Could be even a monk. Could be not even a man at all. So the invasion is happening where it's also the host body system invasion, the aliens, the ones that have been altered by a surgical doctor's hands by rearranging things to have you connected with AI, like iRobot. iRobot takeover. So Enki and Enlil is the one that doesn't particularly like human beings. Enki does. Enki has he loves his humans because he created them. And regardless, your soul, whether my physical flesh was created by aliens or not, doesn't matter. My soul can't be created by an alien. My soul is what it is. It can be enhanced by aliens by creating a bunch of fakery nonsense in a world that sickens you to death, and then it's like you feel like you've been stricken. So then what happens is you start pouring floods of water out of your mouth and fire from heaven. But it's because of the strickening. And that's what serpents do. They strike. They strike you. Scorpions, they strike you. But when you stomp back, see, they strike, you stomp. You're stomping heads. They're striking heels. But is there three of them? Because there's three unclean frogs. There's the beast, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. So the Antichrist would be Paul, the Enki area of the person's personality, playing Christ. But I think Enki's like the singularity of the serpent, and then twins on the other end, like two of them, because they can both be playing the same role too. And then the younger, the Enki, I still have to think about that. But they have all the say in this world, and the one wants to save mankind, so that one's going to act like he's leaving, but he's really staying. And instead of really destroying the earth with fire, it's just the fire, the word of God, because they're going to interpret it correctly. They're not going with the old interpretation. They might not agree on everything, but they agree to fakerily destroy the planet, show it on TV, show the alien invasion coming out. Everybody's talking about it. We're here. It's happening this year. They had 180 days to come up to with the alien disclosure from the COVID relief thing back in the beginning of the year. And that happens to land around June 28th, 29th, or 30th, which would be 42 months for... if you subtract 42 months from that point, you get to around 2017 in the